We need to talk about what's happening at one of Hawaii's most sacred sites, the Royal Mausoleum, known to many as Mauna Ala. A state decision just shattered a tradition of spiritual guardianship that has stood for over 122 years, and the Native Hawaiian community is reeling over what they're calling a sacred trust, completely broken.
And the reaction? It was immediate, and it was furious. This quote is from the head of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, or OHA. That's the state agency meant to represent Native Hawaiian interests. And she doesn't mince words. This wasn't some clerical error. She says it lacked fidelity, violated state mandates, and dishonored the royal ancestors. For the Hawaiian community, this wasn't just a bad hire. It was a profound violation.
So how on earth does something like this even happen? This is the final resting place for the kings and queens of Hawaii. How does an unbroken line of stewardship, a sacred duty passed down for generations, gets wiped out, seemingly overnight, by a bureaucratic decision? That's what we're going to unpack here.
All right, first up, a tradition broken. Because to really understand why this decision has caused so much pain and anger, you have to understand the place itself and the sacred tradition that was just upended. Believe me, this is about so much more than just a job posting.
So what exactly is Mauna Ala? Well, it's the Royal Mausoleum, established way back in 1865. It's the final resting place for the great ruling monarchs of Hawaii, the Kamehameha and Kalakaua dynasties. Now, in Hawaiian culture, the remains of the ancestors are considered profoundly sacred. This isn't just a cemetery. It is a spiritual center, a place of immense power and reverence.
And just look at this timeline. It shows an unbroken chain of trust going back centuries. It all starts in 1819, when King Kamehameha the Great himself entrusts his remains to a specific high chief. That sacred duty was then passed down through his descendants, who have been the continuous guardians since 1893. One family, the Maiaho family, has formally held this role since 1966. And then, 2024. The chain is broken. For the first time ever, the state appoints someone from outside this hereditary line. It's just over.
And let's be really clear about what this role is. The state calls it a curator, but that word doesn't even come close. The traditional guardian of this site isn't a facilities manager or a groundskeeper. It's a profound spiritual and genealogical responsibility. You are a caretaker, a guardian, and an attendant to the royal ancestors. It's a role that demands a direct, inherited connection.
And this gets to the very heart of the Hawaiian worldview, a core concept that explains this entire conflict. It's the idea of a sacred responsibility that is also a privilege. It's a two-way relationship. You care for the land and the community, and in turn, the land and community care for you. The role of the guardian at Mauna Ala is the ultimate expression of this sacred duty.
So now that you have that context, the deep history, the sacred duty, let's look at the decision itself. This is where a bureaucratic process slams head-on into a deeply held spiritual tradition and sparks the firestorm we're seeing today.
Here's the moment it happened. May 13, 2024. The state's Department of Land and Natural Resources, the DLNR, makes their announcement. They've hired a new curator. And just like that, the 122-year tradition is gone. The person they chose was not a lineal descendant, not from the family line that has trained for and carried this sacred responsibility for generations.
This chart says it all. It perfectly illustrates the massive disconnect here. On one side, you have the state's view of the job, a curator, an administrator focused on facility upkeep, managing permits, filing reports. Basically, a government facilities manager. On the other side, the community's view, a spiritual guardian, someone with deep knowledge of chant and protocol, a genealogical connection, who serves as a bridge to the ancestral realm. These are two completely different universes colliding on the same sacred ground.
So who did the DLNR consult before making this massive, tradition-shattering decision? Well, according to just about everyone, the answer is nobody. Critics say this was a completely closed-door, backroom deal. They didn't consult the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, which state law pretty much says they have to. They didn't talk to the Royal Societies or the Hawaiian Civic Clubs. And maybe most egregiously, they didn't even consult the very family of lineal descendants who have held this sacred duty for over a century. Just totally ignored.
As you can imagine, the public outcry was deafening, so the state had to do something. But as we're about to see, their supposed solution only made things worse and proved how little they understood from the very beginning.
And this quote from one of the Royal Societies really captures the feeling of betrayal. Listen to those words again. Disregarded, ignored, and dishonored. This wasn't just a disagreement over HR policy. This was felt as a deep,
profound insult to their ancestors, their legacies, and their entire culture.
So, facing this wall of opposition, the DLNR scrambles. After the huge public outcry, they announce a new plan on June 4th. And get this, their solution is to create a second, totally new position just to handle all the cultural protocols. So the original person they hired, the curator, well, her job is now redefined to focus solely on the upkeep of the facility and grounds.
The community immediately saw right through this. By creating a whole separate job for the cultural stuff, they were basically admitting that their first choice was completely inadequate for the real duties of the role. It was seen as a tacit admission that the new curator couldn't perform the sacred duties of a true guardian.
And here's why that solution is just culturally absurd. In the Hawaiian worldview, you can't separate the physical from the spiritual. They are one and the same. Tending to the actual grounds, the trees, the crypts, that is an act of spiritual reverence. It's not just janitorial work. The idea that you can hire one person to do the yard work and another to handle the soul of the place, it fundamentally misunderstands everything this site is about.
But this story goes even deeper, because this decision doesn't exist in a vacuum. It plugs directly into one of the most painful ongoing issues in Hawaii, the relentless pressure of tourism and the commercialization of sacred culture.
You're not going to believe this. Almost immediately after the state's announcement, this pops up on a tourism website. The new appointee, advertised not as a sacred guardian, but as a docent you can book for a guided tour. It literally says, "Email ahead to schedule." For the first time, the caretaker of this revered site was being marketed as a tourist attraction. It's the commercialization everyone feared, happening in real time.
And this wasn't some accident. It lines up perfectly with the state's own tourism strategy, which has a formal plan for managing sacred sites as, and I'm quoting their own documents, tourism hotspots. The state's own policy framework was already in place to treat a sacred site like just another visitor experience.
And this whole turn towards tourism hits such a raw nerve because of the crushing economic pressure it puts on locals. Just look at this. Over half of all vacation rentals in Hawaii are owned by people who don't even live there. That's housing being taken off the market for local families, and it's a huge reason why the cost of living is so impossibly high. And guess who bears the brunt of this? The Native Hawaiian community, where the poverty rate is double the statewide average. People feel like they're being priced out of their own homeland. So in that context, to see a sacred ancestral site being repackaged for tourists, it feels like another devastating loss. Which brings us to the final, haunting question. The state saw a job that needed filling, the community saw a sacred trust that needed honoring. So when a place of deep spiritual reverence and ancestral connection is rebranded as a hotspot with a bookable tour guide, what exactly is being lost?